Good morning. I just had a heart-wrenching, long conversation with a business owner, actually a husband and wife team. What happened was the husband was running a renovation company. He decided to grow the company. And I guess about 5 years ago, they decided to specialize in the painting industry. And they were starting to do well. And then the wife joins the team. And they were trying to do marketing. They were hiring people. They were doing jobs. They were getting good reviews, and things seemed to be going okay. And they commented on the fact that they kept watching my videos. They thought, my content was great, and they wanted to implement some of the strategies that I was talking about, but they never reached out. They reached out yesterday to schedule a meeting for today, and they said it was important. So we had a conversation this morning. And what's happening is the company is going bankrupt. The bank is foreclosing on their home. They owe quite a bit of money to some of the employees. They owe quite a bit of money to the government in back taxes. And what's mind-boggling to me is that they're blaming the economy. They're blaming the fact that they hired the wrong people. They had the wrong crew chiefs. What's mind-boggling is the fact that they can't accept the fact that they designed the business, they hired the people, they did the interview process, they paid the bills. They did the work. They were in charge of the work, and they just couldn't see it. They couldn't see that the fact that they were in charge of their own future. And they believed in doing everything by trial and error. They were asking advice from their buddies. They were part of a networking group, and they sat around for at least once a month, sometimes twice a month, talking about business problems and what was happening in their community. And everyone was voicing the same opinion. There's a recession coming. We got to prepare. We got to start laying off people and stuff like that. And I said, does any of that make sense to you? Because then I use the example that I believe a company can be designed and should be designed to do or to create better profit in a down economy than the same company can make in an up economy. And they were really confused by that. And I said, well, if you think about it, as soon as the media starts talking about, a recession coming, your competitors are going to start turtling. That's an official term, turtling, which means they start cutting marketing. They start laying off people. They lay off salespeople. They start doing stupid shit like that, right? And what happens is it leaves the whole market available to you, and all you have to do is do the opposite. Increase your marketing, hire the salespeople that you've wanted to get and couldn't afford or couldn't get because they were too pricey before, and pay them on a performance-based basis, right? I mean, if you study the Great Depression and you study the companies or the people that made a ton of money in the Great Depression, is because they were doing the opposite of what everybody else was doing, right? Recessions are temporary. And if you know that, if you understand that, and if you designed your business for the long haul and you have capital, because most businesses have been around for 5, 10, 20, 40 years, right? If you set aside some capital for a downturn and you use some of that capital, you use some of your credit line, this is the time to use the credit line to increase the advertising, to buy more trucks because trucks are cheap, to buy more, great salespeople, marketing teams, and so on. You can grab a huge amount of market share by doing the opposite of what everybody else is doing. And they were just dumbfounded when I said that. And they just did not want to have that conversation, because having that conversation would mean that they made mistakes. And these were not people that would admit they made mistakes, which is really sad. They didn't even want to dissect some of the problems they think they've made. It was all about the economy. It was all about the government. It was all about, swearing at the government, because they were very passionate, because that's the way they're going to be able to sleep at night, because they have to blame someone. If they accept all this, it means they made mistakes. They lost, the family fortune, the family home. They'll probably keep the car, and he'll probably get a job working for someone else. I've heard this story so many freaking times in the last 2.5 years since the pandemic started. How many people are giving up their businesses, or they're saying they're giving up their business, but they're really bankrupt. Now they're having to go out and find a job. It's really sad. It really is sad. I mean, I don't get it. In the most profitable industry, the construction renovation industry has been the most profitable industry consistently since 1920. I made my first million before I was 25 in the construction industry. So I don't understand when people try to convince me that they can't control their own future. If you can't control your own future, then chances are you didn't spend enough time designing and building a business, right? If you were to build a house, the first thing you're going to do is hire an architect, right? The architect on the blueprint eliminates 95, 99% of the mistakes. That's why you hire an architect, to eliminate future mistakes, right? That's the exact same reason why you should build and design a business blueprint before you launch the company, or before you start changing the products or the service offering, or before you start to scale, or before you start doing anything drastic. You should be designing the business blueprint to eliminate 99% of the mistakes that are going to happen. If you don't ask yourself, okay, what's potentially going to happen in the future? If you don't ask that question, then how can you solve the problem before it occurs? You have to be ready for it, right? You have to be ready for the fact that somebody may fall off the ladder. You may get a negative review. Your competitor wants your market and is trash talking to you. Your competitor is forcing you to pay more by clicking on your ad, so you pay 10 times more than what you should. There's tons of things that could go wrong in the business, and the business blueprint should have been designed to combat those problems before they occur, right? So when I started talking about a business in a box, they should, invest in a business in a box and get back to $1 million in 12 to 18 months at the outside, they were not interested. They were so burnt out. They were so devastated by the fact that their company went bankrupt. And I said, well, how did you not know that? I mean, 96% of companies go bankrupt, which means 96% of companies never see their 10th birthday. Why was that a surprise to you? Why didn't you put a safety net on your company? Why didn't you figure out what the most common problems are in business and fix them before they became a problem in your business? And they didn't want to dissect the problems, which means they're going to repeat the same problems over and over again. And I find this happening over and over and over, especially when I look at posts on Facebook groups. These are problems that could easily have been fixed, and it should be just a bump in the road. Instead, they sent a company to bankruptcy, which, and this is going to happen again and again and again and again until someone wises up and say, hey, maybe I can get some advice. Maybe I can learn from, people who have done this before. Maybe I should join the CEO club. Maybe I should, become part of a networking group and find the most successful people in those groups, and I'm going to buy them lunch. I'm going to ask for some advice, right? Who does that, right? Nobody, because we're so busy putting out fires in our businesses that we never look up long enough to say, okay, what's my future look like? I would love to hear your questions, comments below, and let's start a conversation. Take care. Bye-bye.